Hey everybody, it's Kim Way. I just wanted to come to you for a little bit this afternoon. I was just sitting here in my church office, kind of waiting for some time to go by before I go pick up my son. It's the end of the day for me here. And the Lord had been kind of dealing with me a word, actually traveling down to the church this morning in my car. He just kind of brought up the word endurance to me. And I will have to say that I haven't always endured the way that I should have endured. I haven't always stepped up and held on no matter what. I'm transparent in saying there's been times when I've wavered in my faith. I've wondered if it was worth it. I've wanted to quit. And, most believers really, especially people in ministry, if they're honest, will say they've had those times too, where they've just kind of been like, I don't know if I can go on. Today, the Lord reminded me of the word endurance, and He gave me a couple of scriptures, which I'm going to read to you starting off here. One of them is found in Romans chapter 5, and I'm going to read that in the Amplified. It says, starting in verse 3, "Moreover, let us be full of joy now. Let us exult and triumph in our troubles and rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that pressure and affliction and hardship produce patience and unswerving endurance. And endurance, which I have in brackets here, fortitude, develops maturity of character, approved faith, tried integrity, and character of this sort produces a habit of joyful and confident hope of eternal salvation." So I was just looking at that scripture, and I was just thinking, about unswerving endurance. Really, when I think of endurance, I think of people, not me, who do endurance training, whether it's running or whether it's, climbing or whatever it is. Specifically, we live near a huge military base here, so we see a lot of military vehicles going off for training every summer. They will take maybe cadets or whatever that are in a different province in Canada, and they will bring them to New Brunswick to the base here. And then they might take the ones that are from this area that are in training, and they will take them to a base in another province. One of the reasons that they do that is they separate them from what's familiar. They separate them from what would be easier for them to give up if they were actually just training, a couple of miles away from where they live or whatever. But they separate them from everyone they know and pretty much everything they know, their familiar surroundings and everything, and they move them to a place where nothing is familiar. It's not the same commanders. It's not the same people around them. And they begin to build in them what is known as basic training. Basic training means that they are being set up to be able to handle the basics of being a soldier. Now, one of the first things you'll ever notice when you see basic training, if you've watched any of the movies and of course in real life as well, is one of the things they do is they start running. They start running every day, and they build that endurance to be able to keep up. They learn how to march in step with the rest of the people. They learn how to keep their bunk rooms meticulous, to be able to be clean and to be compact. They learn how to pack even their duffel bags. They learn how to clean their instruments. They learn how to be able to shoot the guns, to be able to fire off the cannons, the rockets, whatever it is. They learn all those things. And of course now, in this day and age, they learn things about computers and all kinds of things that give them the basic ability to be able to be a valuable member of the armed forces or the military or the Air Force or whatever they're going to do. But then there is a step beyond that. And that's we would think of that when we become Christians. We are trained to read our Bible. We're trained to pray. We're trained to pay our tithes. We're trained in the basic areas that we need to be able to. We learn that we need to be water baptized. We are trained in studying how to study the Bible. We're trained just in things that are the basics that we need in our faith to be able to be a believer. And then when the call to ministry comes, there is a further training. And in that training, we are taught to be able to take orders, to be able to obey, to be able to follow a leader, to be able to to step out a little bit of our comfort realm. We are submitted to an authority in our life once we ever start belonging to a body of believers. But when we're in ministry, we're even more of a submission, because God has most likely given us a mentor or a pastor or a leader or a spiritual father or mother or something that is a person that is God has put responsible for further training. Not just the basics of being a believer, but now we're in further training. But then there are other teams as well in the military and such, and they're elite teams. These are the teams that go beyond that. They go beyond. They have to hone their endurance to a level which some of us would just never, well, trust me, I would not be like doing some of that stuff. But they are learning now. They're going out and they're going in extreme conditions. They're being put in extreme circumstances. And when they're going through that training, some of that training is to be able to withstand hostage situations, to be able, if they are persecuted or if they are kidnapped or whatever that thing is that they call when they take you in the military, to be able to stay true to what they believe, what they've been taught, to be able to honor the thing that they're called to do, which most people who are military will tell you that there was something in their heart that called them to that. It wasn't just like, oh, I think I'll be in the military and risk getting myself blown up, right? No, there was something deep within them. Maybe it was because those from the family who had gone on before them, that's what they were called to do, and maybe it was just the next step for them. But most of the time, there's something within them, that patriotic duty that rises up, that wants to defend their country, that wants to do something with purpose in their life. Very much like ministry. People who are called to ministry, we know there's something beyond what we do right now. We know there's something that's beyond the norm. We know that we're called to do something, and we want to do something for God. We want to make a mark in this world for the gospel. We want to take everything that we have and lay it on the line for God. There's that deep longing and calling, but that calling requires training. It requires a deeper training. It requires a training as much in the military that helps those soldiers to be able to endure beyond all costs and through all things. The same kind of training is what is put in a believer who has a calling to ministry on their life. There's a step that you go that builds in you something that helps you to persevere. The biggest thing, of course, is your relationship with the Lord, but beyond that, that's a desire and that determination that's inside. And it doesn't come just from sitting in a church pew on Sunday. It doesn't come just because you pay your tithes. It doesn't just come for this. It comes because you've determined in your life that you are going to do whatever you have to do to fulfill that plan for your life. You are willing to risk all. See, many are called, but few are chosen, because many are not willing to risk all. And the reason they aren't is because it takes endurance. Endurance means when conditions are extreme, when conditions are bleak, when conditions are dangerous, when conditions look like there's no way out and you're in the middle of a jungle and there's people shooting at you. Well, you know what? Sometimes in ministry you feel like you're in the middle of a jungle and people are shooting at you. You are a target, right? But there comes that time, that thing in your life where you have to square your shoulders and you have to stand up and you have to determine, I am going to complete my mission. I am not going to back down from the enemy. I am going to be victorious, and I am going to go through and do everything that God's called me to do. And one of the things that I found was interesting in the scriptures, when he talks about endurance, he said it develops maturity. And it does. The more that we endure, the more that we withstand, the more that we stand strong. Now, I haven't always stood strong, being totally transparent with you. Again, I have not always stood strong. There have been times when I have fell flat on my face. There's been times when I've had to crawl back up. There's been times when after a while it took more. It took more to get to me. And little by little I began to build that endurance where, at least to the point that I was going to stand even if I didn't want to. I knew in my heart there was no choice. There was no choice but to stand. I was able to see what would happen if I didn't stand. If I didn't stand up, if I didn't complete my mission, I was able to see that. So I learned endurance. The thing it says here about endurance is how it talks about approved faith. Approved faith and tried integrity. It means that you have proven through your endurance that you're a person of faith, that your faith is strong, that you have proven through your endurance that you're a person of integrity, that you're a person of character. God's looking for people with character and with integrity. And then it says it produces a habit of joy. Well, who would think that joy, being joyful, could be a habit? But I think that if we get to that point where nothing stops us, then simply nothing also destroys us, destroys our mind, destroys our thoughts, destroys our joy. And I think we just get to the point where we can, I believe we can, where we're just like, I'm just going on. It is what it is, right? And a hope of eternal salvation. And that's a thing. It's a goal. See, there's a goal in all this. There's a victory in all this. There's a goal that tells us if I hang on, if I complete my mission, if I stay strong, if I endure, there is a crown of righteousness that is laid up for me. This world is going to be changed if I endure. People are going to be saved if I endure. I'm not going to heaven by myself. I'm taking a bunch of people with me if I endure. The most important thing we could ever want is to complete our race, to endure, to complete our task. One of the things that Paul said to Timothy, and Timothy, 1st and 2nd Timothy are probably my favorite books in the Bible, because I love that father and son, a spiritual son, that spiritual father and spiritual son. I love that connection. And I love how Paul imparted everything that he knew. He sowed it and he poured it in to Timothy. I love that we all need those spiritual fathers in our lives, and we all need to be those people who pour into others. But in 2 Timothy chapter 2, in verse 3 and 4, he said, "Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Jesus Christ. No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who has chosen him to be a soldier." See, sometimes we can get tangled up in what's going on. We can get tangled up in all the things that are happening around us and everything. And we can get we can get our focus off what God has called us to do. But he's saying, when you're a good soldier, you're focused. You're focused. You have your mind, your heart, your spirit. Every bit of you is set on that end result, on that victory, on that end of on the end of what is going on. I won't fall. I won't fail. I won't fail my mission. I'll be victorious. I will be a person that endures. You know, the Lord said to them that endure, there's a crown of righteousness that's laid up. There's a reward. There's a reward for enduring. There's a reward for standing strong. There's a reward for not backing down. There's a reward for going through. And I just say to you today, join with me. Let's just be people who endure. Let's be people who don't give up. Let's be people who aren't sidetracked. Let's be people who are focused on the mission that God's given us, because He's given us all a mission. He's given us all something to do, something that glorifies Him, that brings people into the kingdom and makes us all a better people, and just performs the will of the Father. Amen. So I say to you today, endure, stay strong, stay focused, and stay in God's plan for your life, and watch what He does through you. Amen. Well, I hope that helps somebody. It helped me. God bless you. Have a great day.